Assalamu alaikum to all of our viewers. My name is Hira Hyder and you are watching Let's Talk. Today's episode's title, specifically what I have chosen it to be, is Their Life is Better Than Mine. Now, how many times in a day or during the week or in our life do we say that their life is better than mine? They've got it going so well for themselves. And how many times do we find ourselves comparing our blessings with theirs? Now, their blessings can be a friend, even a family member, or perhaps just somebody who you've seen while scrolling through your Instagram feed. Now, I've said specifically Instagram because in today's time, of course, social media is a big part of the youth's lives. We are on social media majority of the time, and where it can be used as a positive tool for interaction, communication, learning new things, it can also have its downside and really negative effects. Well, without further ado, I'm going to be introducing my guest, and she's been with us for the past few episodes, and like I said, I wasn't going to let go of her that easy. I would like to welcome to our show Zakira Lubna. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Hira, and thank you once again.
It is always a pleasure to have you on this show, and I feel like perhaps you can also relate to this topic because as an individual, and also because you have young kids who are in their teens, and they probably have said these things to you as well, that, you know, our friends are having it easy in their lives, or they have that thing but we don't, where they tend to overlook what they actually have. So how are some factors contributing to this mentality for young children or adults or young adults?
Well, this is a human nature. First and foremost, let me inform you about this, that the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. And this happens with everybody. I mean, if anybody's experienced this kind of an emotional turmoil in somebody's life, this is something that's bound to happen because we live in a material world, and we tend to see a lot of different things around. Obviously, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept people in different situations, and there might be people who are less privileged. There might be people who are privileged but not to an extent, and there are people who are more privileged and they are being blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But before jumping into that, we have to understand what privileged means. Generally speaking, what we think is that people who have more material possessions are more blessed, while it's not the case. People who have contentment are more blessed. I mean, you may find people who are financially not as good as other people, but they are happy. And not being happy is something that comes with, I mean, being happy comes with time. I mean, as you grow up and as you are mature enough to understand the lows and highs of our life. So this is a very natural thing, and the religion and the school of Ahl Bayt has not left us alone in this situation as well. So how would you say that we can help reduce these factors which generate this thought process? Because like you said, it is very natural. So how have the Quran and how have the Ahl Bayt told us that how can we control these desires which we have when we look at other people's material things, or even blessings in terms of relationships among siblings perhaps, or amongst parents, and when we look at other people having families which are working so well together, whereas you have problems within your own family, or seeing somebody else have a great friendship group. So how can we control this comparison? First of all, you have to be real in your life. I mean, to be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to be real in life. You cannot just look over somebody's blessings and get envious of it, because this leads to hasad. And in Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned about hasad, that it's something, it's a disease for the soul.
Which is jealousy and envy, basically.
Which is jealousy, and which leads you to think that
what the other person has, he should be deprived of that, or I should get that. And even if I am not getting that facility or that edge or those blessings that he or she thinks that is a blessing, at least he should get deprived of this, even if I don't get that. So this leads us to hasad, and we have to, kill that before it kills us. And yes, envious, people get envious, and it's a sad thing. And the best thing that one can do is to first of all get real in your life and start thinking about, you should put healthy blinders. Okay, now you have to look towards a certain extent. Don't go beyond that. And if the grass is greener on the other side of the fence, you should start watering your grass.
That's so beautifully put, so beautifully put. And I think another solution that we often are told for this issue that arises is that be grateful. And gratitude is the greatest medicine. It's the greatest heal when it comes to comparing your life with somebody else's. But it's very difficult to be grateful. And we are at a loss of how are we supposed to be grateful when you feel like somebody else is blessed with this and I'm not.
I wanted to come to this because Quran says, "La in shakartum la azidannakum." The more you do shukr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala increases your blessings. So once you start doing shukr, when you start saying, you be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the blessings that He has given you, I think it's the best thing one can do to curb this disease of hasad. And it's a very good exercise if you do for a week's time or for a period of time, if you can set it up, a target for yourself. Make 2 columns in your life. Take a piece of paper to make 2 columns and just write the blessings that you have not asked Allah. And write down the blessings that you have asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The unasked blessings, the undesired blessings, and the blessings that Allah has given you without you being praying for them. And the blessings, and the second column should be for the blessings that you have asked for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, I'm sure that in the second column we would have a house, a car, new furniture, new phone, the luxury items in our life. And the unasked blessings is a simple thing. The blinking of your eye is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because I know a lot of people, I came across somebody who has to drink a lot of water because the process of the saliva making in her reduced, and she had to take frequent sips of water because there was no saliva in her mouth. So just come to think of that fact that how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala generates things up for you in your body. You blink your eye, it's such a big blessing. You can hear with your ears. You can taste good food.
I think another factor which we can highlight is through a story that I actually want to share. And it just popped up into my head. Back in university, so I knew this couple who got engaged, and they were an ideal couple. Everybody was saying this, that I wish we had, a life like theirs. It's like a fairy tale that's going on. And within the next year, that couple had to break off their engagement. There were a lot of nasty incidents that had happened amongst the families, and it just made me think that a year ago, everybody wanted their life, but none of us knew what was going to be happening a year later. So I think you also have to be very careful for what you ask for and be grateful for what you have. Of course, do as much as shukr as you can. Obviously. And sabr and shukr are done simultaneously. So we are doing shukr, yes, but sabr it's quite a complicated thing sometimes for us to enact. But before we reach that point, I will take a quick break. So I ask all of you to do a little bit of sabrs. We will be right back. I want to ask you that women empowerment, how is that defined in the Quran? How has Allah said that women are empowered?
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has granted empowerment to women ever since the messengers have come in. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not mentioned the importance of female. He has actually given us a chapter called Surah Nisa. By this, that does not mean that the position of the woman is lowered anyway. It's not something, it's not a derogatory sentence for a female.
And I think where that term gender equality comes in, I feel like people need to understand this more, that when we're talking about equality, we're talking about in terms of respect. A woman deserves equal respect just as much as a man does.
Even if you go to Pakistan and you go to pay a bill in the bank, now there used to be a separate queue for the ladies. And they used to give us respect. But still, we do have a culture that respects women by and large.
Welcome back from the break. I'm Hira Hyder. You're watching Let's Talk, and our topic for today is Their Life is Better Than Mine. We took a short break, and I hope you were all doing sabr, because that is exactly what we're going to be speaking about next. Yes, we do shukr when we are blessed with all that we have, but it's very difficult to do sabr when we are going through a tough time in our lives and when we see everybody else going forth, having it easy, despite us not knowing what's going on behind the scenes of their lives. But still, human nature, it's difficult to do sabr. So we have Zakra Lubna with us, and she will be telling us of how we can practice sabr. And well, I think that's a really important, vital thing when it comes to life. Yeah, Zakra Lubna.
Okay, before we jump into this, you need to know what sabr is.
Definitely.
Sabr is not something that puts you in a situation when you don't have any other option. Sabr is a point in time of your life when you can do everything. You can take an action, you can take a step, but you refrain for Allah. That's sabr. Because we have often at times we have taken it the wrong way. Because we don't have any other option, we don't have any other way out, we are the suppressed one, we are the one who is the weaker of them. So staying quiet, we think that we are doing sabr. No, it's not sabr. This is what you're left with, or that's the only option. You don't have a choice. Or should I say that in Urdu? It's your majboori. That's not sabr. Sabr is when you actually can do something and you refrain. So when you're blessed with so much in life and you think that the other person is much more blessed than you are, you have to start thinking of people who are less privileged than you. So you have to look at the people with on a lower level. Thank God I do not have that kind of what do we say? We don't have to go through so much agony in life.
Or you don't have a job.
Yes, you don't have a job, so you should look at people. If I have a job, I should look at people who do not have a job. Or worse come worse, people who are incapable of doing a job. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed me with 2 hands and 2 feet. I can walk, I can do my work, I have a brain that functions, hopefully. And there are people who are unable to do the simplest things in their lives.
So I think when you're comparing your life with people who are more privileged than you, I think the best way to make yourself feel a little more better is to compare your life with those who are unprivileged.
Like for example, people who have daughters. I mean, I'm not talking about everybody, obviously, but there is a segment of people who thinks that they should have a son. It's vital to have a son in their lives. So, and if Allah does not bless them with a son, it's not a bad thing to wish for a son, because in our scriptures and in our books for all the du'as and supplications, we do find the du'a that you should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless you with a son. So it's not harmful or it's not bad to think that way. But if Allah does not bless you with a son, think about those people who are not even blessed with daughters. I mean, they do not have children. What can they do? So always looking at a position when people are not blessed as you are, that brings you in a good situation to feel yourself good about it. And again, if you are away from Deen, if you're away from Islam, from the teachings of Islam, everything would bother you. The smallest of the things and the biggest of the things would bother you.
That's my next point, that when you feel like you just can't take it anymore, because it's a reality that life does throw its nastiest curveballs our way sometimes. And some are azmaishin, which means test, and some are just, well, they're holding us accountable for the things which we have done in our life, which aren't the best of things. So what are some spiritual tactics that we can use to make ourselves feel better when we are in a terrible place in life and when we have these negative thoughts that there are other people who are doing far better than us? Any namaz, any du'as in specific?
Again, I'd like to come back to the same point that before you do anything extra, first concentrate on the mandatory stuff that you've been asked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what He expects out of you. And then when you get away with the mandatory ahkam that Allah has given you, come to another stage when the Ahl Bayt alayhi salatu wassalam, they say that it's mandatory for you as a moment to perform these acts. Like, for example, you are not a mu'min if you do not recite 50 ayahs a day. So start doing that, or start doing namaz-e-shab, because that's what the Aimma expect from you. Or do more charity, because the sign of a mu'min is that he is going to be somebody who would do a lot of charity. He would be a sakhi. You cannot be a mu'min if you are a miser. So open up. I mean, you have to broaden up your spectrum in this aspect.
Something which I always tell all my viewers as well is from personal experience, that namaz-e-shab, which is tahajjud, even if you're not praying all of the 11 rakats, even if you just pray for tahajjud, that in itself is so powerful that you need to believe in the fact that you can change your life around through Allah's will by communicating with Allah with such a powerful prayer. And that is definitely a spiritual, let's say, token which we can truly adapt, and it can actually really help us in changing bits and pieces of our life. At most, if it can't make things happen your way, at least it's going to give you this certain peace of heart, and it's going to allow you to be more grateful for what you're blessed for, because then Allah blesses you with this divine light when you are attempting to get closer to Him.
Obviously He does, and I'd like to add one more point here, is that whatever you do, you should do it genuinely. Genuine enough that, and think that is it worth that it's going to be accepted in the eye of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Would He accept this namaz? And a simple namaz, a simple farz namaz, if you're doing it genuinely, should have the power to change you or settle all the troubles going on within yourself. When you say Allahu Akbar, when you say Allah is the greatest, He is the bigger of the biggest, He is the mightier of the mightiest. So when you say Allahu Akbar, this should solve all your problems, because you are standing in front of that Creator who is Akbar, who is the greatest of all the greatest. So all your problems are not your problems anymore. You give your problems to Him and you should be content.
Sometimes what happens is that these negative feelings, they tend to make us quite bitter as a person, and even the best of people turn into very bitter people, and they possess a very negative thinking, and their actions start to reflect this as well. So I think it's quite vital to eradicate these feelings from the grassroots itself, because it can reach an extreme. And to those people who feel like there are people around them who don't exactly feel happy when they are being blessed, I think the 4 Kuls and Ayatul Kursi truly work like magic for protection from the evil eye. And a lot of people sometimes say, a lot of the youth, they say that, oh, the evil eye, yes, it's a thing, but it's not that big of a thing. So what would you like to say about that?
No, evil eye is a big of a thing. And there was a point in time in Rasulullah's life when he got to know that the evil eye was on his grandsons. And that's when those Surah Nas and Surah Falaq came. And for the evil eye, if you think that there is an evil eye, even if you, I think you should not spend so much of time thinking about the evil eye. Do the things that are being advised. So incorporate Surah Falaq and Surah Nas as much as you can, because that's where Allah talks about hasad. That's when Allah talks about people who do hasad, who are envious of you.
So if you're in a good place in your life, you need to protect yourself as well from that a lot.
وَمِن شَرِّ حَاسِدٍ إِذَا حَسَدَ.
Definitely. And well, for the youth, of course, we are the generation of social media, and like I said before, that we use it as a good tool as well as a bad tool. Sometimes it's used, and when we're scrolling through our feeds, we see these really glamorous pictures, we see some pretty happy moments, and of course, as a mentor, as a zakira, what would you like to say to the youth that when they are looking at social media and comparing their lives? Because this tends to happen a lot.
Well, you have picked up a very good example, a good metaphor for that the grass is always greener on the other side. And as I said, that if you want your grass to be greener, water it. So not in terms of material things. You might see, I have come across a lot of people in my life who have those beautiful display pictures on their social media platforms. And when I see them in person, I'm like, is she the same person? So it's definitely greener on the other side, but if you speak through the reality, it's not as green. So the grass can be bluer on the other side, in fact. So this comes with time, and you have to really exercise on it.
That is such a beautiful and impactful point that you said, that I think we will end our discussion for today, because we need to let this statement really sink in, that the grass can be not greener but bluer on the other side. And of course, we don't exactly know what really is going on behind the scenes of somebody else's life. So till then, the next person who you see on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, having it all, just keep in mind that there's something which you have that they don't. Till then, this is Hira Hyder signing off.